Prince Philip's decision to sacrifice his active role in the Royal Navy in order to support his wife following her accession to the throne in February 1952 provided him, in the long run, with a more significant and influential gig, according to a historian and commentator. Dr. Tessa Dunlop, author of the newly released Elizabeth and Philip, A Story of Young Love, Marriage, and Monarchy, acknowledged the late Duke of Edinburgh made a difficult choice when he left his promising career in the Navy. However, she believes he gained something more invaluable than the highest rank in the armed forces. Asked whether she believes Greek-born Philip made a sacrifice when he quit his active role in the Navy in the early 1950s, she told Express.co.uk, he did have to rescind his career in the Navy to support his wife. But monarchy trumped everything. Monarchy was the big gig. I mean, can you name for me one head of the Navy? She continued, clearly he was a go-getting male, he was physically tough, he was brave, he was a leader. I think he could be quite a challenging leader, a brusque, scary leader, so he had all the attributes. There is no reason suggesting he would not have got to the head of the Navy. But at the end of the day, in the biggest scheme of things, by marrying Elizabeth he made the decision that was something more valuable than being head of the military service, and that the Duke of Edinburgh, being the consort, was a bigger, more significant, influential gig. Would we be talking of Admiral Philip? No, we would not know who he had been. But I am not saying his choice to leave the Navy wasn't difficult. Dr. Tessa added that, while the death of King George VI marked a personal tragedy for his firstborn daughter and presented Philip with a dilemma over his future as a Navy officer, the fact that Elizabeth II acceded to the throne aged only 25 and was accompanied by a young and charming husband gave them huge star power. She said, I also think it was a huge advantage in many ways to come to the throne so young as such an attractive couple. They had star quality, especially Philip. He was so good-looking and all the foreign press recognized that, while Britain was less generous. All the foreign press couldn't get over Philip. He was so handsome. Prince Philip and the then Princess Elizabeth met 2 months before the outbreak of World War II, when she and Princess Margaret accompanied King George VI and Queen Elizabeth for a royal visit to Dartmouth Naval College. After remaining for a few months on the sideline due to the neutrality of his native country, the prince was posted as a midshipman on the HMS Valiant in 1940 following Italy's invasion of Greece. Philip, who was mentioned in dispatches, was promoted to lieutenant in 1942 and 2 years later served on the destroyer HMS Well posted in the Pacific. He was famously present in Tokyo Bay when Japan signed its surrender, putting an end to the Second World Conflict. 2 years after the end of the war, Philip married Princess Elizabeth, but, while he also joined his young wife on visits abroad, he was able to remain in the Navy and, in 1950, to rise to the rank of commander and lead the HMS Magpie. The death of George VI, however, saw him relinquishing his active role within the Navy to fully dedicate himself to serving the new Queen and the Crown, despite no role had been created for him but the one of royal consort. Through the years, the Duke of Edinburgh, who